This is page 6. This is a real quick refresher of solving one-step equations, two-step equations, or having fractions in your equations, or having multi-step equations. I think all of these are one or two step equations. Tomorrow we will hit a few multi-step. You will have a quiz over this on Wednesday. When's your quiz? Wednesday. Perfect. One-step equations. This means it should take you one operation to solve the problem. This is like a warm-up. I want to show you a couple of techniques with solving equations. Some people are really good at it. They don't need this help. Some people struggle because they don't organize their work. I want to encourage you to organize your work. When you have an equation, find the equal sign and draw a line down it. This is going to help you compartmentalize the left from the right. Because the rule in solving equations is whatever you do to the left, you have to do to the right. And so if you are solving this and you see, oh, I need to subtract 12 here and then subtract 12 here, you would know that that can't be right. Because I just subtracted 12 from the same side. So when you draw the little vertical line, it helps you to compartmentalize. Okay, so I'm going to write it over here, and then I'm going to write it over there. The other thing you need to know is we solve equations using, I already said it once, inverse operations. Okay? I'm going to come right here, and I want you to write solve using inverse operations. Inverse is the fancy math word for opposite. Fancy math word for opposite. What is the inverse of addition? Subtraction. What's the inverse of subtraction? Addition. What's the inverse of multiplication? Division. What's the inverse of division? Multiplication. What's the inverse of squaring? Square rooting. What's the inverse of square rooting? Squaring. See where this goes? All right, so looking at this, m plus 12 equals 10. What value plus 12 will be 10? I'm going to do the inverse operation here, then I'm going to come over here to balance it, and I get that m is what? Negative 2. N is acting funny. Now, if it bothers you to have the line right here, to me it doesn't bother me, which you would think it would, but I can erase it if it bothers you. The line is just to help me compartmentalize. And we will get to the point where we're not going to have to draw the line anymore. Okay? All right, over here, g minus 9. You always start on the side that has the variable, right? So I want g by itself. I'm going to do what to the minus 9? I'm going to add 9. And I get what?
7 g.
And that is okay to write it backwards like that. It's perfectly fine. I want you to do 3 and I want you to do 3. Show her my badge and she says, why are you in here? So Miss Holcombe is parched. All right, negative 7y equals negative 91. The variable's on the left. What is the, so you have to ask yourself, how is the negative 7 attached to the y? Like if you look up here, the 12 is attached by addition. So some people confuse this to think that it's attached attached by subtraction. The negative there is letting you know the 7 is negative. It's not being subtracted from the y. It's actually being multiplied by the y. This is called an invisible math, which is in your quick reference booklet. It's an invisible math operation that you cannot see. When a number and a letter are shoved together, that would be, the fancy words are coefficient and variable. They're attached by multiplication, so you undo it by division. That's how you undo that. Then you go to your calculator and do negative 91 divided by negative 7. What do you get?
13.
You get 13. Number 4 might look a little tricky because it has a fraction. Please learn to embrace fractions. All it is a number divided by another number. A number divided by another number. So that says A divided by 9. What is the opposite of divided by? Multiplied by. So, in order to solve that, I need to do times 9 on both sides. I'm going to multiply by 9, multiply by 9, because right here, when you multiply by 9 and then the same breath divide by 9, they cancel. So A is by itself, and we get what? What's nice about solving equations, especially when there's only one variable in the equation, you can go back to the original and plug in your answer and then check it to see if it's right. I was always that kid that needed that extra boost of confidence in my math because I used to have a tutor in 7th grade until she drilled it into my head. But I would go back and I'd use my calculator and I'd type negative 36 divided by 9. Does that give me negative 4? Because I liked knowing whether I got it right or not. So, in solving equations, especially if it's multiple choice, but if it's not multiple choice, you've come to an answer, you should be able to check your answer and see if it's right or not. Every time. Alright, look at this. What if we have fractions? Now that last one was a fraction, but it was the variable over a number, so all you had to do was multiply by the denominator, the 9. This time it's an actual numerator and denominator fraction times the variable. To get rid of a fraction, see right here, the notes, you're going to multiply by the reciprocal. The reciprocal is the flipped fraction. Reciprocal is the fancy word for flip the fraction. If you multiply by the reciprocal, you can solve the problem in one step. If you're terrible at multiplying by the reciprocal, then you, one, need to practice. Right? If we're bad at something, we're going to practice, get better at it. But another way to do it is to multiply by the denominator first, then you end up with just 2x, then divide by the 2. So you could turn it into a two-step problem, but not many people have time for that. So here's my variable that I want by itself. 2/3 is in the way. So if I multiply by 3/2, see what I did with the fraction? Now whatever you do to one side, you gotta do to the other. If I multiply by 3/2, you might think, well, you just created more work, like bigger numbers. Well, look at it. If I multiply straight across, I end up with 6/6, which is 1, which means it went away. Don't say canceled. It didn't necessarily cancel. It became the same number over itself, which is 1. So it's simplified to 1. Does that make sense? And I hate to draw this, Because that makes you think cross multiply, doesn't it? Does that make you think that? And that's not what you do there. So I'm just going to mark through them like that. Because you'd end up with 6 over 6, which is gone. 1. Now come down here, you go to your calculator, you type 10 times 3 divided 2. What do you get? 15. Alright, you try 6. Well, I checked the bell schedule because I forgot. 2:05. You try 6. So we want W by itself. Trenton, what am I going to multiply by? Number 6. All right, Brooklyn? The reciprocal of 4 over 9, and that would be what, y'all?
9 over 4.
9 over 4. Because that's going to create 36 over 36, which becomes 1. So it's gone. Now go to your calculator. Negative 8 times 9 divide 4. Negative 18.
Yep.
Yeah. All right, I want you to do 7 and 8. Lay them straight. 9, 10. Sorry. I want you to do 7 and 8, and then I want you to check with a neighbor. The only difference is they're negative. So when you multiply, it will be a negative reciprocal. That's the only difference. You should get nice numbers too. Meaning nice, pretty ones. No fractions or decimals.
I'll check.
Check with a neighbor.
If I'm
Think,
not-
pair, share. Think, pair, share. Turn to your neighbor. This is what I'm asking you to say. Hey, what'd you get? This is what I got.
Turn to
What'd you
two
get?
neighbors.
If I'm right, Yvonne's right. 55 after, right? 55 after. You mean 5 after?
Dang, we're only getting an hour and 10 minutes.
It's been like that all day.
That's gonna be a quick volley. Yeah.
Did you get negative 10?
Yes.
Hey, here's where I need y'all to be, what's the word? Autonomous.
I have no clue.
I'm helping. I need you to be autonomous with your learning. I'm going to say, hey, did you get this answer? And if you did not, and you don't know why you did not, you need to say, Ms. Holcombe, I did not get that. Okay? And then I'll stop and explain it. But if everyone got it, there's no sense in me going over it, right? That's called being autonomous. That's stopping the teacher to say, I didn't get it. Can you explain it? Go with me? All right. Did you get 18? I wrote X. That's okay. It's okay. It doesn't matter. But here, did you get 18?
We got one on the back.
Yes. Good.
Yes.
18? Okay, now come here. Couldn't resist. Two-step equations. Same exact concept. We're getting the variable by itself. There is a process though. Order matters as to how you proceed. Okay? You always, I want you to write this. In the middle, this is important. Write it like this. Here's why I wanted you to write it that way. When you are simplifying an equation, which means you're cleaning it up. When you're cleaning an equation up, you go through the order of operations. Do y'all remember that? No, it's not PEMDAS, but the order of operations, notice I drew the arrow going down, is done when you are simplifying. Turn your paper sideways and write simplifying. When you're simplifying, you do parentheses, exponents. Then you do multiplication, division as you read it like a book. That's why M and D are side by side. They can be interchangeable. It's always like a book, whatever you come to first. And then addition and subtraction are like a book. It's whatever you come to first. It's not, I have to do addition before I do subtraction. That's wrong. You do them as you read the equation. Now, we are not simplifying here. We are solving, which means reverse. I want you to draw an arrow up, and I want you to write right here, solving. When you are solving equations, you move all addition and subtraction stuff away first. Okay? So I'm going to come to my equation, draw my line, find my variable. My variable's right here. What's being added or subtracted? 8. It's got to go. 5. Subtraction. 6x comes down. 50 minus 8 is 42. Now, 6 is being multiplied with the x. What's the opposite of multiply? Divide. So we're going to divide both sides by 6. And x is 7.
You got 4 minutes.
I know. Number 10. Find the variable, draw your line. What am I going to do first? I'm going to add 5 first. 2n comes down, 11 plus 5 is 16. Then what? Good, 9. Divide by 2. N is 8. Do number 11. You do number 11. Draw your line. There's your variable. What do I do first? Subtract 9. 13 minus 9 is 4. Then what? Divide by negative 4. Right? Very quickly, turn to the back. I know there's 12 is there. I know. Go to the back. This is your practice. What we don't answer. Come to number 19. It says, watch out. When you're solving number 19, you might think, oh, I gotta subtract 11. Can't, because that is one giant fraction. You cannot go in a fraction and do something inside of it until you get rid of the fraction. Getting rid of the fraction is as easy as multiplying by whatever's making it a fraction. The 8 is the problem. That it says divide by 8, so you will just multiply by 8, and then bam, there's no more fraction. Does that make sense? Pull down x plus 11, negative 3 times 8 is negative 24, and then now you can subtract 11. Your independent practice, this is like a sport. Your practice is the problems that we did not finish. Does that make sense? That's your practice. I want you to come to class tomorrow with it. Okay? So when you finish your maps test tomorrow early,
No, you're just thick.